Fine, fine, bro. What about you?
Yeah, I'm totally good.
Okay.
Okay, so can we just directly get into the discussion?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So can you just brief me about your past
Okay.
BTech 10-year experience and how did you come to bits, those things?
Okay. So, let me introduce myself. Hi, I am Vijay Kumar. Currently, I am pursuing a master degree from BITS Pilani. Before that, I worked as a software engineer, Advanced 101 Systems Private Limited, Indore. And I used to prepare for GATE starting from my final year. So I was not able to get that much rank. So I started preparation with the along with the job. So I was doing that thing, and yes, after giving GATE and BITS HD, I just came to the BITS.
Okay, okay, fine. So currently you've completed the first year, right?
Yes, I have completed the first year.
Okay, that's great. That's great. And so and you've been placed in PayU.
Yes.
Okay, first of all, congratulations for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So, can you just give me what was the placement process in PayU and also the criteria for applying for a job in PayU?
Okay. So basic criteria was it was on campus. So minimum 6 CGPA you required in your post graduation only. And
Okay.
coming to the process, there was only a four rounds were there. Like first is online coding round, online test was there, which was conducted on higher platform, and two technical interviews and one HR interview, which was conducted on the same day.
Okay, fine. So,
Yes.
regarding the test, was there any is it only a coding round or was there any MCQs kind of questions, like
Uh,
technical
it,
questions?
it consists of three section. First was aptitude section, second is a core fundamental section like CS fundamental, and third was coding section was there. So in the first aptitude section, there were 50 questions, which was medium to hard level questions, and
Okay.
this was some questions were tricky also. So you need to complete it in 20 minutes only. So questions like 10 and streams, so this kind of questions were there. And coming to the core fundamental, 25 questions were there, and 35 minutes you were allotted for doing that question. This time, in this section, question were easy. If you are prepared for the gate, or some other, you have followed some MCQs, then you will be able to do it easily. So questions were related to a C output, Java output, core computer network, OS, DBMS. This kind of questions were there. And coming to the last section, there were two coding questions which were of easy level, I think. But the main problem was there, there were some compiler issues was there, you need to print some output. So in C++, some test cases were failing. So if you give too much time to this question, if you will devote single too much time to this question, then you will not be able to pass the test. So the main trick was you need to jump to another question as soon as possible, if you are stuck, because this problem was faced by many people, so you cannot give too much time. So yes, this
Okay.
was a brief end.
So,
Yes.
time was the main constraint, right?
Yeah, time was the main constraint.
Okay, and the coding questions were mostly easy ones
Yes,
only.
coding question were too much easy. I will say you need to generally segregate even and odds number. Generally it was dependent on the Fibonacci series kind of thing. So
Okay.
you need to generate first n kind of numbers, some function was there, and you need to generate this kind of numbers. But main thing was in terms of printing, there was compiler issue which was faced by all who are using C++ and Java. They faced this problem. And second question was also easy. That was some based on sorting concept. You need to generally sort it, and based on some criteria you need to sort. Yes.
Okay, fine. And then after the test, you had two technical rounds, right?
Yes, two technical and one HR interviews.
Okay,
Yes.
fine. And can you just brief me about the first technical round? Like what
Okay.
was the main content in that and how much time did it went and all those
Okay.
things?
So first interview is based on only programming, problem solving and data structure. It was involved in this thing only, and it was conducted on a Google Meet. It went till 1 hour only. It was lasted for 1 hour. And coming to the detail of the interview, there were he gave me first question, which was related to you are given a n numbers, and you need to find how many sub arrays are there which have odd sum. So you need to generally return that count. So I faced this question like for the first time. So I generally gave him like brute force apply. You need to generate this sub arrays and all these things. Then he told me like give me some like a better approach for this. So I gave him like a prefix sum approach, but he was still not satisfied. So I generally felt nervous at that time because I faced this question for the first time. So I started like
Oh,
doing like a concept on pen and paper. So I gave it too much time, like approximate like 15 to 20 minutes I devoted for this, and time was running. Like he was also like expecting only output. He was generally not thinking about anything. He gave me just like a told me like open whatever editor you want, and he told me to just do it. So I started doing pen and paper, and somehow like an idea came in my mind like I should use this map and concept and other things. So I was somehow able to like come to the solution, and he was like seemed satisfied. And coming to the second question, he directly gave me the second question after this, like you are given n numbers which are like in sorted orders, and each number appears twice, but one number appears
okay.
single time. So I saw this question earlier, so I was like happy, like I got the question which I have seen earlier. But whenever I gave him approach, like I gave him first like you need to just check the property like it is sorted, so you just need to check the only right element just after that. So
Mm-hmm.
he told me like I don't need that approach. So I gave him like a XOR approach, like you can do just XOR and get the answer.
Okay.
But still, like I was surprised he was not satisfied. So he told
Oh,
me just like don't give me like order of n approach, something less than that. So again
okay.
I stuck, and like I thought like how can I do this? So I generally thinking about binary search because it was sorted, and I how can I come up with this answer? So I gave it too much time. Like again I was stuck in this question. Like so I generally picked my pen and paper and I started solving that. But I somehow like went till like how can I apply the binary search approach? Like when I should go to left and when I should go to the right whenever I pick that element. So I was trying hard to do that, but like I asked him, like finally I gave up and like asked the interviewer, like can I give some, can you give me some hint? So he told me like I cannot give you hint because if I will give, then the whole question will be solved. So yes, so
I-
he again told me like do it your own. So I started doing that, and somehow I was able to do this question. Like some test cases were failing for that. I generally
okay.
whenever I was solving, na, so I found that for this test cases I will need to put this condition, but time was running now. So I told him like my code is running for some test cases, and for some it is not running. So he told me just like run for my test cases. So I run for his test cases, and like for two test cases he gave, and for one it was running and for one it was not running. But I gave him justification like if I will do this condition, then it will like work. So he was seems satisfied, like time was running, so he had not time that much. So he told me just yes, it is okay. Now finally it was like 56 only. Like we already like interview round came till uh, 56 minutes. So we generally left with the 4 minutes. But he wanted to give me one more question. So he told me like I am giving one question. Don't discuss with me the approach. Just directly give me the solution in like 4 minutes. So he gave me the question like
Oh,
you are given the stack, just reverse it and print it. So I generally have to code it. But I was happy like I have seen this question earlier. So I somehow I coded in like 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes, and he was satisfied. So finally I was like able to clear this round. Like nine
oh,
people were there, and like six people were able to qualify for the second round. So this was like first round cleared.
oh. Achha, that is actually really good. Three questions in 1 hour is kind of
Yes.
tight. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That expert question you told, I also got that in one of the interviews. So the same question, I also did the binary search approach.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so that was the first round, and there was no technical questions asked, right?
No technical fundamental question. Only programming questions were there.
Okay, okay. And anything out of the resume?
Not in the first round, not anything, but in the second round, he asked me. So should I explain
Okay,
about
okay.
the?
So yeah, you can go ahead with the second round.
Okay, so in the technical round, in the second technical round, was like interviewer was like very much cool according to me. Then he made my mind calm, like just do it this thing, take the sip of water and other things. Like he generally like he was very much cool, so he was understanding me. So he started by giving me some like a project question. He directly started with the project question. Like he just read me resume in 2 3 minutes, and he gave me directly asked me like based on the resume like what projects I did and how I approach this problem and other things. Like he asked me question related to the basic question related to the project only. And he started giving me one coding question again. So he explained me the question, it was related to the binary tree. Like you are given the binary tree, and you need to find the level which is which has like maximum sum. You are given the tree and you have to give the return the level which has the maximum sum. So I started
Okay,
giving
fine.
him like a brute force approach. Then I jumped to the level order approach. So he told me tell me the complexity of this approach. So I told him like it will take order of n space and order of n time as well. So he told me can you do it in like order of one space? So again I started trying again. So somehow I have not seen this question earlier. So he gave me just try it. So I started trying, but I was not able to come up with a approach because it can be hard if you have not seen this kind of question earlier. So I started doing this.
Exactly.
So I had not any alternative. So what I thought if I can somehow can I if I can reduce some space earlier I was taking like order of n space, but if somehow can I take I came up with the HMAP approach where I will store the level or only the sum of levels only. I can go with the depth first approach and I can store the level sum only, which will reduce the space to the order of number of levels. So yes, he asked me how you will
Okay.
implement. So I told him depth first approach. I will use the DFS and I can calculate the level sum. So he was quite okay. So he directly I don't know he told me just code the level order traversal approach which you told me earlier. So yes, I was happy he told me this kind of approach which I had done earlier. So I somehow easily I coded this approach, a level order
Oh,
traversal approach. Yes, and
and
after that.
so
Yes. Uh,
yeah,
okay.
so
So
only
he,
one coding question.
yes, only one coding question, and he asked me related to the. He started giving me a fundamental question related to the DBMS, computer network operating system. So I can give you some example question. He asked me multiple question. He told me first what do you mean by normalization, acid properties, and MVC architecture. What do you mean by this kind of architecture? So this was basic question, and he
Okay.
asked me to jump to the company specific question, in what projects you have worked in your previous company, what kind of data structure you have used there, what kind of algorithms you use there. So I can give you one example. He asked me one question which was related to the dependency graph. You are given some dependency, how you will handle. My projects were based on workshop management. So how you will handle this task which is needed to do this task earlier. So he asked me what algorithm you will use. So I told him I will use topological sorts, and he was happy. He ended with this in note only. So he asked me this question only.
Okay. That is really good, man. So technical round two was also done. Then
Yes,
it was HR round, right?
yes. So
Okay.
HR is
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So what was the role offered by PayU?
role associate software engineer role was offered. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Fine. And these technical questions which you mentioned, like was it gate level questions or anything in detail, like in hard level questions was there?
Yes, I have devoted too much time to get, so I was very much okay with the fundamental question, but still there can be some
Okay.
gaps. He needs some one-liner questions only, so you cannot generally explain him in depth. He has not that much time to understand. He will not be able to devote this much time. So you will have to shift to some other resources which you can get one-liner definitions. So I used to follow notes Ravindra Babu Rawla notes I had. So I used to follow that notes. And in the last time, in the last week, I just followed InterviewBit preparation, InterviewBit OS. Generally, you will search InterviewBit OS, then you will find top 40 interview questions you will find. So for OS, DBMS, OOPS, and other kind of concept, you can generally go through this question, which will brush up the concepts only. Directly answer you can directly answer this kind of
Okay.
questions, which generally helped me also. So yes.
Okay, fine. So, like, what was your strategy? Like, how did you prepare for these interviews and technical tests?
Okay. So I the preparation was generalized. I started in the mid March. So I generally went to a 450 DSA question first, which was my first attempt. I will cover this many questions. because I was
Okay.
not like familiar with like I did not done any kind of coding earlier before that, before March. Like I was familiar with the C++ syntax, so I generally like started with doing this kind of questions only. So I used to follow like love buffer 450 DSS. So this was like mainly I used to cover, but in between like you can get bored like after 1 month or 2 months. So I used to follow like some other books like EPI, like Elements of Programming Interviews by Adan Aziz. So I used to follow this kind of resources like InterviewBit. You can go to Leetcode contest, which can generally help. Like you will not get bored by some like one resources. So I used to follow this thing. And coming to the like interview part, like what I did, like I used to read interview experience, like how generally interview went. So I used to read this kind of questions. And like in the last month, I used to give like a lead code virtual contest, which helped me like whenever you solve some specific kind of question, you directly jump to this kind of answers. But to gain the confidence, like how much you can
Okay.
do. So generally to get that confidence, you need to generally give the some kind of contest or mock test. So I used to follow like a lead code virtual contest, which helped me a lot. So yes.
Okay. Fine. Fine. So, like, which platform did you do like try for this coding, like LeetCode or GFG?
Like I used to follow like both platforms. So whatever question like in that sheet, like link was given like where you will get this question. So I used to like directly jump to that link. So I used to follow like both Geeks for Geeks and Lead Code both.
Okay. Fine. And which one do you prefer?
Like I will prefer
Like
Lead
which
Code because
platform?
like Lead Code is like much better because it has like a good interface. Like a community is very much good. Like whenever you will see one question, you will get like multiple solution for that question. Like you can generally go to the discussion forum, and you will get like ample amount of solution, like different approaches. So you are like think in a broad way, like there can be multiple approaches to solve this kind of questions. So I used to follow like Lead Code a lot. So yes, Lead Code helps.
Okay, fine. And for the technical part, which did you like look into any particular platform, or you were just randomly looking into the stuff?
I used to get the random stuff. Whenever I used to feel like I need to, I used to search like how can we crack the technical interviews. So whenever I used to get the link, I used to read some blogs like on the Medium or other blogs. I used to read for the technical aspect, like what we need to prepare, what should be strategy for the last dates. So I used to follow this like random resources, not specific to any kind of certain kind of resources. Like you can follow some interview experience on interview like coding ninjas, and some interview experience you can found on Geeks for Geeks, Lead Code. So I used to follow like randomly. I used to go.
Okay, fine. And like, what do you think is the most important part of this placement process? Is it
Uh,
the technical concept which you have gained in Gate, or the coding part which you have done? Like, which
okay.
is the most important part?
Like a most important concept is like only coding part, I will say. But like there can be like 3 to 4 technical interviews. So in at least in one interview you will face this kind of like fundamental questions. So you should prepare in depth, like in breadth, sorry. So you should prepare all the topics like if you have time. But like coding is the main concern. Like you should do this first.
Okay, fine. And what about the resume?
Okay.
Was there any questions based on the resume for you?
Yes, okay. So you need to prepare the like resume well. Like whenever the interview come, he will not be prepared. So he will directly see your resume, and he will
Hmm.
start asking the question. Like generally, most of the interviewer generally not fix the type of question. He started asking like based on your resume. Like in some interview, he will generally ask like based on your projects, whatever you skills you have. So he will generally start like coming to the hiring manager and other interviews, which are like senior level. So you will generally face this kind of question coming to the resume only.
Okay, fine, fine. So that is also very important, right?
Yes.
Okay, fine. And was there any kind of system design questions involved in the in your interviews?
Yes, like I gave like 5 to 6 interviews, and like most of the time you will face. Like I am telling now, like there can be 3 to 4 technical interviews, and at least in one question you will get this kind of question. Like I have also faced like this kind of question, and my one of like my multiple friends have got this kind of question like system design. So you need to not go into like depth in the system design. You generally go in the breadth, like it generally see some concept like load balancer and other kind of concept. You generally see like see some kind of design concept, like example you can see like parking lot design, and like a management kind of like you can see like 2-3 examples only, and you will be like comfortable, like not too much prepare like in the depth, but yes, you should know at least some part of it.
Okay, fine, fine. That is really great.
Yes.
Okay, so and yeah, I think that is mainly about your placement process, I think. And like, is there any suggestion which you want to give the viewers as well as the future aspirants who are looking for a job like a company in a company like PayU?
Okay, I will say like start as many as early as possible, like because like coming to my part, like I used to follow like coming like in the month of March, like our semester started, so like you will have that much time available, so you can like devote like you can give priority to like a DSL algorithm if you are not very much like confident about this thing. So like start as early as possible. Don't depend on like you will get 1 month. Summer like this kind of things generally don't depend on that, like whatever you can do early, just start with this thing, like you can start with the basic concept, even if you know nothing, then you can start as early as possible, and you can generally take this kind of companies. So, yes.
Okay, fine, fine. So I think here we come to the end of the discussion. I think we have covered almost all the parts of your placement process, and it was great talking to you.
Thank
And
you.
like, I wish you all the best for your future
Thank you.
and your. So yeah, that's great.
Thank you,
Oh,
bro.
okay then. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, bro. Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.